Hey, what's up guys? So in this video, we're going to be taking a closer look at the Valentine 1, as well as all the different accessories that are available for the detector. Now, this video is part of a larger series where I've been covering the entire lineup of radar detectors for a bunch of different popular brands. With Valentine Research, they make literally just one radar detector, and so it would be kind of a short video. And so in this video, we're going to go into a little bit more detail, taking a look at the original Valentine 1, the new Valentine 1 Gen 2, plus all the different accessories that are available as well. Now, starting with the original Valentine 1, this came out 3 decades ago or so, and it was the first detector, and for a long time the only detector due to patents, to have directional arrows, and that's a very useful feature to let you know where the different radar signals are coming from. Now, since then, there's been many different versions of the V1. Valentine over the years has continued to upgrade the detector. So there's been new hardware revisions, there's been new software versions as well, so the detector has continued to evolve over time. It's actually one of the detectors that really got me into radar detectors too, so I kind of have a soft spot in my heart for the original Valentine 1. Well, after many, many years, Valentine has released the second generation of the Valentine 1 called the Valentine 1 Gen 2. A lot of people refer to it as the V2. It's the V1, the Valentine 1 Gen 2. And so basically, it is a redesigned from top to bottom version of the original Valentine 1. I mean, the new one also has arrows just like the original, but it's got an all-new platform under the hood. It's got longer range. It's got better false alert filtering. Bluetooth is now built directly into the detector. You don't have to rely on an external accessory. The dial on the front has been replaced by just a mute button on the front and then two buttons on top to adjust the volume. Certain features like GPS and photo radar detection still are not built in to the new version of the Gen 2, so it's still GPS-less. But overall, the V1 Gen 2, it's a fantastic detector. It's definitely still one of my favorites, especially once you start adding in some of the third-party apps. Next, Valentine also sells a bunch of different accessories for the V1, and so let's hop on the computer real quick and just take a look through all of them. All right, so starting off, we're going to head on over to Valentine's website, and then we're going to go over here to this blue button that says Shop Now, and this is going to show all the different parts and equipment that Valentine sells here for the detector. So obviously, if you don't have a V1 yet, you can go over here and buy a V1. I've noticed a lot of times due to supply chain issues, they are going to be back ordered, but luckily Valentine is pretty good as far as getting new inventory in and then updating you as far as when the next batch of detectors is going to be coming in. Usually at most, maybe you'd have to wait a couple weeks or so, but this is going to be the way to go if you want to order a Valentine 1. Now, a quick note, I would not recommend buying this on somewhere like Amazon or eBay. The reason I say that is when you go look on sites like Amazon, they're almost always going to be charging way more than Valentine does. Now, Valentine does not sell on any other website. They only sell their detectors direct, and so you're going to want to buy it directly from them. If you see it listed on Amazon, the reason you're seeing it there is somebody's basically buying it and reselling it for a profit. I mean, look at this, $800 versus $500. That's a $300 premium to buy it here from Amazon. Additionally, because you're not going to be the original owner, somebody else bought it and is reselling it, you're not going to get any warranty. So I would definitely say stay away from buying a new V1 from Amazon or eBay or any site like that. If you're in the US here especially, Valentine only sells their detectors direct here. I know there are places overseas that will, again, buy and resell them for you, but again, you run into similar issues. Here in the US, for example, buying it direct from Valentine is going to be the way to go. Moving on, the next accessory to talk about is going to be Savvy. Now, this is an accessory to give you some false alert filtering features when you're in town. And the reason this is helpful is the V1 does not have GPS built in. And so it's not going to give you things like low speed muting or GPS lockouts, to deal with false alerts, or red light camera alerts. Now, this is going to be a workaround to one of those issues for your low speed muting. Basically, you plug this into your car's OBD2 port. It's going to read your speed that you're traveling, and then you set a little speed threshold right here. You can see it set to 30 miles an hour. And then the V1 is going to be plugging into Savvy as well. And so anytime you're traveling below the certain speed, say 30 miles an hour, this will be muting your V1 for you to keep the detector quiet around town. It gives you low speed muting without needing GPS. Additionally, it gives you an easier way to power the detector and hardwire it without using your cigarette lighter cable and having it running down your dash. Because it's OBD2, plug it in, don't have to worry about wiring into your fuse box or dealing with grounds or anything. So it makes the installation easier there as well. Now, you can also get the GPS-based low-speed muting using an app. Valentine has an app with the eSavvy feature. It's basically using V1 Connection, Valentine's free app, and then using your phone's GPS to give you low-speed muting. This is, again, going to work as a power source, plus it works in areas where you don't have GPS, such as a parking garage or something, and you'll still get your low-speed muting here. So that's Savvy. The next accessory is going to be the concealed display. This is basically a secondary display. You can see it looks just like the V1 itself, but it's going to be a secondary display. So let's say you want to maybe hide the V1 itself or turn the lights off so that when the lights go off, they're not visible to other drivers at night or police officers right behind you. You can turn the lights off on the V1, and then you have a secondary display that you can put somewhere where you can see to still see all the alerts. Plus, you have a secondary mute button right here to mute the detector remotely without having to reach up and press the mute button on the detector itself. Now, it doesn't have volume buttons here on top of the detector the way you'll see on the V1 itself, but otherwise it's going to replicate the display and the mute button for you. Now, if you have an original version of the V1, they also have the original concealed display. Now, you are going to need a newer version of the original V1 in order to support the concealed display. You can see this one actually says ESP on it, so this is for a newer version of V1 that does have the Bluetooth capabilities and stuff. But anyways, that's concealed display for the original V1. The next accessory is going to be the remote audio adapter. It's basically going to give you kind of remote volume control. So you've got a dial here to adjust the volume of the V1, again, without having to reach up to the detector. It works with both newer V1 Gen 1s as well as the V1 Gen 2. Plus you have some additional headphone jacks with two different headphone port sizes. So if you want to plug in, let's say you're a motorcycle rider and you want to plug in your helmet, your audio in your helmet, you can do that here with the remote audio adapter. Next, you've got a carrying case if you're traveling and you want a protective case for the detector for power cables and mounts. You got the carrying case. Plus, you're also going to see two different external Bluetooth modules here. The original one is the V1 connection. The newer one is the V1C LE. Now, this isn't necessary if you have a V1 Gen 2 because the Gen 2 has Bluetooth built in already. But if you have a newer V1 Gen 1, this is how you're going to add the Bluetooth functionality. It's going to plug into the power cable of the V1. Now, again, the original one is the V1 connection. It's larger and it's only compatible with Android. Later, they came out with a newer version that's also smaller and a little bit different Bluetooth technology, Bluetooth LE. And so this is the V1C LE, and it works for both Android and iOS. So if you're an iPhone user, this is the one to get. If you're an Android user, actually, this is also the one to get too. It works better. The only reason you would get this nowadays is if you have a newer V1 Gen 1 and you want to use an app like Yavi 1, which I believe never got upgraded to support the V1C LE. I think there was a beta version that supported it, but I don't know if that got released. Either way, most people are running newer apps like JBV 1 or something. So anyway, this is going to be the way to go if you want a Bluetooth connection for your newer V1 Gen 1. Next, moving on, they've got a bunch of different power cables. So basically replacement power cables in case you lose one or it gets damaged or broken or something. You can buy replacements here, different lengths, coiled ones, straight ones, cool. You're also going to have replacement power cables. So let's say you want to move your V1 into a second car, you can get a spare power cable here. And they also have replacement hardwire cables as well if you want to wire it into your fuse box. Now, the brownout booster, this is going to be an option if you are in a car that has a start-stop system. Now, in that situation, when your engine shuts off at a red light, for example, the voltage will drop, and you'll see that that voltage drop could potentially cause issues with your V1. And so this is basically going to help maintain that 12-volt level that you're going to want coming into your V1. Now, you'll see it says not for use in the V1 Gen 2 because the Gen 2 basically has this built into the detector already. And so, again, you don't need this for the Gen 2, but if you have a V1 Gen 1 and a car with a start-stop system and it has issues at red lights, you can pick up this as the accessory. Next, we've got kind of spare fuses and stuff in case you need those, different wiring connectors, and then replacement mounts as well. So you've got both the windshield mount as well as the visor mount available, and you'll notice they have them for both the Gen 2 and the Gen 1. And if anything happens to the suction cups on the V1, maybe over time, over the years, they yellow or they don't stick as well or whatever, you can buy replacement suction cups as well for your mounts. The articulated bracket, this can be kind of nice if you're using the concealed display. The power cable comes with this already, but again, if you need a spare, it's going to attach to the side of the power cable and it kind of rotates up and down. And the cool thing about it is you can actually slide the concealed display onto this end here and kind of angle it up, straight down, or whatever. So you basically have a concealed display sticking out of your cigarette lighter socket. So that's a pretty cool option. And then finally, you've got kind of these just self-sticking fasteners. So an alternate way to mount your V1 other than using suction cups or something like the visor mount itself. And so, yeah, that's a quick run through of the Valentine 1 Gen 2, plus the original V1 and all the different accessories that you'll see available on Valentine's website. There's quite a few, as you can see. Down in the video description, I'll put a link to their website so you can head on over in case there's something that you'd like to pick up. And other than that, yeah, that's it for now. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you're all doing well, and I'll see you in the next video.